Hi, William. We're live.
Okay. How are you today?
I'm okay. I've been keeping busy. I've been talking to more Americans about the plans I have for them on spaces. Do you ever try it?
Say it again. You've been talking to Americans about what?
Well, the plans I have for them. I've
Mhm.
been promoting secular Quranism and talking to Americans about it. Um, have you tried spaces? I've been doing it on spaces. I don't know if you've tried it.
No, I have a real life.
Well, it's just like YouTube, but a different social media platform.
Yeah, I don't have time to be on a bunch of different social media platforms. I focus on what I focus on. The rest of the time, I'm actually dealing with people on the ground. I actually interact with other human beings in real time.
So, what have you been discussing with people on the ground in real life?
It doesn't matter to you. That's not what we're here to discuss. We're here to discuss your claims. And so we're here to discuss your Zionist beliefs. We're here to discuss how you are pro Nazi and pro Holocaust. That's what we're here to discuss. We're not here to discuss what I talk to my community about.
Well, how can somebody be both a Nazi and a Zionist? Maybe you'll explain that.
Yeah, I don't have any problem explaining it at all. The fact of the matter is that what we're seeing today is nothing more. And see, so there's a really good book. It's actually in my attic, and I didn't feel like going and getting it. But basically, it speaks about how during the war, the children in the ghettos, they would play what was called ghetto games. And from these ghetto games is that, the children would line up, and you would have the big strong kids, and they would pretend to be Gestapo, and then the other kids would line up and try to sneak something past them, and if they got caught, they would beat them. And they would play different games like this, different ghetto games, and you could look this up. This is
I
all,
played it myself when I was a child with my
well,
cousin.
good for you. Anyway, so the point being is that everything that we're seeing right now is nothing more than a reenactment of what happened to the Jews. So the Jews now have the Palestinians in ghettos. They're treating them inhumanely. They're killing them indiscriminately. They're actively calling for a genocide. They're dehumanizing them. And literally everything other than the gas chambers. And I would argue that it's worse than the gas chambers because here you have the indiscriminate killing with bombs, but that's a whole nother matter. So, anyway, everything that the Israelis are doing now, they are literally repeating step by step what the Nazis did to them. And the Palestinians are in the position that they were in 100 years ago. And so, if you support Israel today, if you support the Zionist activities today, then certainly you are supporting what was done to them 100 years ago because it's the same exact thing. Step by step, it's the same exact thing. And so you can't say it's okay for the Israelis to do it today, but it wasn't okay for the Nazis to do it then. If you're for it, you're for it. And if you're against it, you're against it. It's really that simple.
What about chapter 17, verse 104?
What about it?
The Quran. I'm saying it's Zionist. So you're
Yeah.
saying to be
So,
Zionist is to be a Nazi, and that
so,
if
so,
God, if Allah is a Zionist, does that make him a Nazi?
so this
If
is
that's what
why.
what is indeed what you were saying.
So this is a wonderful point, Claire, and it really emphasizes you, right? And so let's start by being honest, right? And let's admit for your audience, let's lay this foundation, this groundwork, that some of the biggest influencers in your thought, some of the biggest influencers in your worldview have been Jewish teachers that you sat with, went to the synagogue and benefited from. And in fact, a year ago,
Sit with them
you
exactly.
you told me 1 year ago, and you named two of them, and you told me that they were the biggest influencers in your worldview. Is that not true?
No, I have a
Because
range
I
of influences.
Yeah, but you told me, and I can go back and find the messages. It's no problem, because I was saying that you studied Kabbalah, and you said, no, I only took a basic course in the Kabbalah, but who my real teachers was Rabbi so-and-so and Rabbi so-and-so, right? This is
Well,
what
they
you
didn't
told me.
exactly teach me. You're probably talking about Rabbi Sachs.
I don't know. I can
Okay,
go
well,
back in the
anyway,
message.
I just want to make it clear to you that, I mean, you're talking as if I, went to, grew up with him or something.
No, 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 no,
So
no.
I've just attended 2 of his talks, okay? And
No,
and
you
um,
no,
and I
no. You told us that you used to go and sit in the synagogues and listen to their lectures, and you did take a beginner's course on Kabbalah. But now let me ask you this. Tell me one Islamic scholar that you've taken a formal class with. One. Just name one.
well, I've listened to Tim Winter.
I didn't say listen to. I said, who did you actually take a
I've
class
met
with?
them. I've met them. I've met Tim
You've
Winter.
met them,
I've
but
met
who did
Rabbi
you study
Sachs.
under? Who did you study under? None.
I studied under
No.
none of them because I was never formally a student. All I can say is that I met them once or twice.
Okay. And so this is good, right? And so we laid the foundation that you have studied under Zionist teachers, but you've never studied under a Muslim teacher, and now you want to interpret the Quran. So let's deal with the Quran.
I listened to Daniel Haqiqat too. I mean, it's not like I never listen to Muslim speakers or political activists.
Let's deal
I do
with
take my opinions from a range of sources.
Yeah.
You're just concentrating on the fact that I have some Jewish influences, and you're treating it as some kind of a sign of evil, which is testament, I think, to your own
That's fine.
anti-Semitism.
I'm an anti-Semite. I'm an anti-Semite.
Well, the way you're carrying on is like, oh, you met a few rabbis. That means you.
Let me hit you with this. Hold up. Let me hit you with this. You call me an anti-Semite, but that's not what you mean. Because the fact is that I believe the best of creation was a Semite. Sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I believe that all of the best of creation were Semites. Right? I believe that the people that I love and look up to the most in history were Semites. And I'll add to that the Palestinian people are more Semitic than the Ashkenazis that came out of Europe. And so this claim that I'm anti-Semite is wrong. Rather, what you really want to say is that I'm anti-Jewish, and I'm not. I'm not anti-Jewish either. Right? What I am is anti-Zionist, and I don't have any problem saying that. You tried to label me as an anti-Semite,
No. I mean,
but the fact of the matter is that there's no anti-Semitism here. This is a label meant to silence people, and I won't be silenced by your foolish labels.
William, that there has been a movement to equate anti-Zionism with anti-Semitism.
No, that's a play.
Okay,
that's
you may
that's
dislike it, but I'm
play.
saying, as far as I can see, really it does appear to be synonymous.
Yeah, you want it to be. That's what they want. They want it to be synonymous so that they can control the narrative. But the fact of the matter is it's not synonymous, because a Semite is a Semite. And the fact of the matter is I'm anti-Zionist, which is a belief. It's a worldview. I'm not anti any people because of where they was born or who they was born to. There's no racism in me to where I'm going to say I don't like these people because of their DNA. I don't like these people because of the way my Lord created them. But I am against the worldview that's calling for the destruction of the world.
Who's calling for the destruction of the world?
Zionists.
That's the American Empire.
The Zionists. The Zionists.
Well, you seem to think that Israel tells America what to do. I mean, there may be others who say that Israel are a bit like husband and wife, and it would be very difficult to tell which party is in control of the marriage.
Neither controls it. BlackRock controls it. Vanguard controls it. Right?
Okay, so that would be part of the American empire.
It is not. It's the Zionist empire. And so you can give it these labels all you want. Why did the House Speaker, why did the Secretary of State just today, why are these people, these politicians, American politicians, getting up and saying, I'm not speaking as an American today, I'm speaking as a Jew? Why are they? JFK JFK, they didn't want to elect JFK because they was afraid that electing a Catholic would break his interest, where he would be not just for America, but he would be for Rome as well. And he assured them, I won't be. But today we have an entire cabinet, an entire political system of Zionists who will declare that, yes, as Americans, we're Americans, but we are also in favor of our Zionist people, right? And so this is a split. These people, they have a dual interest, and their interest to the Zionist movement is greater than their interest for America. And nobody could tell me different when we're watching it before our very eyes.
Well, obviously, America has geopolitical interest in Israel, and Israel is
Why?
an American colonial outpost.
Why?
Because it's
What
a bit of
benefit
America.
of Israel?
What Iran says, Iran calls Israel Little Satan, meaning that America is Big Satan.
Iran isn't a threat to anyone except that due to Israel. And it's still not even a threat to America. No way. So what benefit is there in Israel? What benefit does Israel bring to my nation?
Well, you'll have to talk to ask.
I don't have to talk to anybody because I already know the answer. The answer is zero. They don't do anything. In fact, they get us into trouble. They get us into world wars. They control our economy. They control our politics. They control our media. They control our transportation. And if you don't believe me, again, if somebody says, oh, this guy's racist, I'm not racist at all. But the fact of the matter is, look up BlackRock, look up Vanguard, see who owns it, see who controls it, see who they are invested in, what companies do they control, what companies do they influence, and then tell me I'm wrong.
We're talking about globalism. We're talking about the global empire of America. And obviously, there are people who feel unhappy about the way America is kicking them around. And that is understandable. But the original topic of this conversation is whether God is himself Zionist.
There you go. Good. I'm glad you got back to that, right? So, Claire, let me just simply ask you a very simple question, right? We see the world around us, right? We see that everything in the world, everything without exception, has purpose. Is there a purpose maker or not?
Well, you could say that the concept of God, if it was indeed
not a concept, there's a concept of unicorns.
It's to serve the political purposes.
There's a concept of unicorns, Claire. There's a concept of dragons. There's a concept of fairies. I'm asking you, is there a purpose maker? Not is there a concept of a purpose maker. Is there a purpose maker?
God exists. Well, you already know me to be an agnostic, so you can't expect an answer to that.
Right. So you refuse to answer the question. You hide behind this label of agnosticism while you claim to speak on the authority of God.
No, I'm just saying, well,
do you believe that the Jews are God's people? Do you believe that the Jews are God's chosen people?
Hmm?
Do you believe that the Jews are God's chosen people?
That's what it says in their book.
I asked you, do you believe that the Jews are God's chosen people?
Well, whether we accept it or not,
I asked you believe it
yes,
or not.
I'm happy to say that because it's sort of like, if you tell me your name is William, I would have to accept that your name is William, even though there are people around you say, oh, it's not really William, but you show me your birth certificate and it says William. I mean, what else am I to do other than to accept that is your name?
So if I show you in a book that says my name is something other than William, right? Are you going to accept that?
Well, it depends on the authority. I mean, if I say birth.
So do you believe that the Bible is absolutely true? Do you believe that the Bible is absolute truth?
Look.
No, I'm asking you a question. Do you believe that the Bible is absolute truth?
Which Bible?
The Old Testament. Let's start there.
Well, all I can say is, as far as I know, Jews believe the Torah, the first 5 books.
See, you're playing games here. You're
No, I'm
playing
not playing
games.
games because I wouldn't know, would I? As an
Okay,
agnostic,
no
I wouldn't
problem.
know if it is actually the revealed word of God in Hebrew, as the Jews claim. All I can say is report to you that this is what what some
Yeah,
Jews believe,
and
what they're
there's people.
supposed to believe.
There's also people that believe that there's a big spaghetti monster god, right? And they have books to prove that. Do you believe in a spaghetti monster god? Do you believe that because there's a book? Do you believe in Hercules? Do you believe in Zeus? Do you believe in Odin? Do you believe in them? Because they're in books too.
Well, nobody argues about them. I mean,
Yeah,
we're
I'm
talking about the
arguing right
stuff that
now. Do you
people
believe it or
argue
not?
about.
I'm arguing it now. Do you believe it because it's in books or not?
Um, I see. God is a very useful concept, and I
Yeah.
encourage the
So
use of
again,
God as a concept.
okay. So you're playing games, and that's fine, right? Now, either you accept that the Jews are God's chosen people, or you don't, right?
Yeah,
Which is it?
the Quran confirms it. So,
No.
so
The,
you have to, just accept that Jews are a people that everybody talks about. The
I don't
Christians
have to
go on
accept
about
any
them.
of this.
The
I don't
Muslims
have
go
to
on
accept any
about
of it.
them, and there is a reference in the Quran of them as a group. So how am I to deny that? What would be the point of me denying that this is a label that has been given to them and this is how they understand themselves to be?
So
Why are we just why are
there's
we
a reason
talking
here,
about
Claire,
this?
because the reason is this. If you believe that they are God's chosen people, then you can argue that they have a right to the land. You can argue that, right? But if you don't believe that they are God's chosen people, then you cannot say that the genocide and the oppression and the occupation and the apartheid state that we're witnessing today is just in any way, shape, or form. So either you believe that they have a God given writ to this land or you don't. Which is it?
No. Okay, I'm so glad we got onto this question. So, according to Hamas, they want Gaza Strip and the West Bank to be under Sharia. Yes, that is what they want.
No, they don't. They want it. They want to end the occupation, Claire.
Uh, there is a Wikipedia entry to the effect that
Who controls
Hamas.
Wikipedia? Who owns Wikipedia?
Well, I think it, I don't see why I would want to. Or how is it in your interest to deny that? Hamas are basically saying we're going to end the Jewish state. Israel should be under Sharia. That is what they're saying, and obviously the Jews are not going to say yes to that.
I am
If you look
asking
it
you
up,
a
if you look
question.
it
So
up,
this is a side matter that you're trying to distract the
no,
matter.
no, no, no. It's all to do
Yes.
about the right to live in Israel. Now,
Listen.
if I might finish my point, I'm just going to quickly finish my point about the Jews. So,
Avoid the
according to
question.
chapter 17, 104, I understand it to mean that Jews
You
have a right
understand
to
it.
live in Israel. Jews have a right to live in Israel as a commingled crowd,
As a
which
what?
means that they
Commingled
have to
crowd.
have,
Okay.
Gentiles living there with them, and
Mm-hmm.
and well, they're already there, and they're already, Gentiles living there. But what is the problem as far as God is concerned? They are not living under Sharia, and that
Okay.
may
So
be the cause of his wrath.
do you believe do you believe that they are God's chosen people and that land is given to them or not? It's a very simple question, Claire. It's a very simple question.
I believe the Jews were originally living there, and then they got kicked out, right? And then after the Holocaust, they said, "Oh, look, we suffered so much. We need a homeland," and they were given it by the Allies, by America, by Britain, and that was the post-war settlement. Because
Okay, so that's what
so now that they're there, there's no question of them. Oh, shall we give it to them?
okay.
It's been
All right.
given to them. They're already there, and that is a problem.
All right. So here's the thing, Claire. If that's what you're basing this on, right? If that's your argument, if your argument is that these other nations, the ally nations, and in fact America wasn't part of that at the time, Europe was, who gave them the land, right? So if your argument is, in fact, at that time, America opposed it, that's a whole different matter. But if your argument is that this land was given to them as a safe haven for what they did, what they went through in Europe, right? Because they went through the Holocaust in Europe, and therefore, to help them, this land was given to them, right? If that's your argument, then
No,
what's
that is how I understand Israel. Well, how Jews came to get Israel.
that's fine.
Because
Now
there
here,
was already a Zionist movement before World War II, and there was Herzl saying, we need a homeland, and there
yeah,
were
yeah, 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 yeah.
options considered, such as Madagascar, and they said, no, we don't want to go there.
They didn't want any of that. They wanted what they wanted. They were fighting for it since before the 20th century. The Zionist movement started just before the 20th century, and they was fighting for it. They even committed acts of terrorism in that land. They're the first people to attack, to do an act of terrorism in that entire region, and they did it in order that they could take that land. Now, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. If that's your argument, and you're not saying that they have a God-given right to that land, if that's what you're saying, then explain to me how you can be pro-genocide today. How you can be pro-apartheid today, how you can be pro-rogue nuclear state today. How can you justify the Holocaust that is happening today to the Semitic Palestinian people? How do you justify it?
I'm not justifying it. I mean, obviously, they have a territorial dispute with their Arab neighbors.
Territorial dispute.
Well, what is it?
You're a joke, Claire. This is a joke.
Well, I mean, obviously,
You're
it
watching
is a
people.
territorial dispute, isn't
So
it?
you're pro-Holocaust. You're pro-genocide.
No, I just don't see how you can equate that.
You don't see that?
No,
You don't see
I'm
that?
saying, no. If you will let me speak, they obviously would like to be left alone to enjoy their, Israel.
That's not true, Claire. They're literally taking lands. They're literally sending in occupying forces. They're bringing settlers from the United States who have never been to the Middle East, and they're giving them land that belonged to families. And all the while that they're taking these lands from the Palestinians, they're closing them deeper and deeper into a smaller ghetto. And so they don't just want to live in peace. They want to take the land. And I'll give you another thing. These people, these Zionists, they're religious zealots. Why did all this just happen? You know why it happened. I know why it happened. Tell your audience, why did this all just happen?
I'm not quite sure what you're referring
You're
to.
not. Why? What triggered this?
Oh, you mean the latest, the Hamas incursion?
No. Yeah. What triggered this latest of Hamas incursion, as you call it?
Well, I mean, even the Jews are divided about it. Some suspect.
No, we
that
know
some
why it
kind of
happened. We know
conspiracy
why
in
it
high
happened, Claire.
places.
Tell us why it happened. Tell us why it happened.
Well, I don't know.
You don't know.
Well, no, I can't. All I know is what I read, and Paul Craig Roberts is quite good about it. Saying,
You're playing games yet again, Claire.
I don't know why you expect me to know everything. I'm not.
I don't expect you to know everything, but I expect you to know things that you've spoken about before. And so I'll tell your audience, all of this went down because these religious zealots, the Zionists, supported by their state, supported by armed forces, supported by their government, desecrated Masjid al-Aqsa by taking the red heifer in there, spilling its blood and splashing its blood all over an Islamic sacred site. Why did they do it? So that they can prepare the land to take it, to destroy it, and build the third temple of Israel. Why? Because they believe that when they do this, that justifies their taking the land. It justifies their building this third temple, and that brings about the coming of their Messiah. And they reject Jesus. Peace and blessings be upon him. The Christian Zionists support this because they believe that when they build the third temple, it's going to bring Jesus back. And so the Christian Zionists support it because they want this temple to bring Jesus back. The Jews are doing this because they believe that it will bring their Messiah. Now, this is the thing, is that their religious zealotry triggered all of this. And this will be blamed on, it's Muslims versus Jews. But it's not.
I mean, you're talking as if Al-Aqsa has been demolished. I mean,
They're
What
working
I
on
hear
it,
is that
Claire.
Jews
They're
say
working on it.
that they're not even allowed to go there or something, and every
They
time.
are they allowed to go there with military force and force the Muslims out, spill blood in a sacred place, and splash that blood all over the place in
What's
is
this
as
red?
a forerunner of its destruction?
Well, I haven't heard about this red heifer thing. Was it
Yes,
done
you have, because
recently?
you're the one that sent the article to me a month ago.
Um, I'm afraid I don't
You
remember.
you forgot. Yeah, I see. Mm-hmm.
What red heifer? I don't remember anything about the red heifer. Who
All
wrote
right,
it?
Blair. You don't have to remember. Your audience can look it up for themselves.
Okay, so where is this article?
Google it. It's all
Okay,
over
I don't know
Google.
what publication is it?
I don't know. You sent it to me, and then
Well, I
I
don't
saw.
remember.
Oh, that's not my
Well,
responsibility
I
to
mean, and you
remember things
can't
for
even
you.
remember this article about the red.
Google it.
Okay, how can I Google it if I don't even know more?
Google Project Red Heifer. Google Project Red Heifer.
I don't remember reading about that.
Yeah, that's fine. The fact of the matter is that you can't justify a genocide of a people based on religious zealotry if you yourself don't believe that they have a right, a God-given right to control this land, to take over this land.
I'm saying they're
If
already there. They're already
either
there
you,
and supported by America.
either
So I don't
you,
know why you're treating it me as if I personally gave them the land. They've
either
already been
you
there for quite a
support.
few decades.
Why? Because you're a pro-Zionist, Claire. You
Yeah, I'm
claim to talk about the Quran, and yet you're
chapter
pro-Zionist.
17, verse 104. The Quran says.
Read it to me. Read it to me. وقلنا من بعده لبني إسرائيل اسكنوا الأرض فإذا جاء وعد الآخرة. Right? So that's actually what the ayat says, and you don't understand that because you don't have access. Now that's fine, and you'll read a translation, but we already discussed this multiple times, and you say, oh, you're speaking Arabic. The Quran is in Arabic. It's not in any other language. So when we read that, it says uskunul ard, dwell in the land, right? For 400 years since the Crusades until the Zionist movement, that land, the Jews, the Muslims, and the Christians all lived in harmony in that land. But this is the beautiful thing about that particular ayat that you keep bringing up. It's not even speaking about Israel. It's speaking about Egypt.
Okay, we can okay, so I'm going to read the bit when it says, to Moses we gave 9 clear signs. Ask the Israelites how he first appeared among them. Pharaoh said to him, Moses, I can see that you are bewitched. You know full well, he replied, that none but the Lord of the heavens and the earth has revealed these visible signs. Indeed, Pharaoh, I can see that you are doomed. He sought to scare them out of the land, but we drowned him, together with all who were with him. Then we said to the Israelites, dwell in the land. When the promise of the hereafter comes to be fulfilled, we shall assemble you all together.
Isn't that beautiful, Claire? Dwell in the land. What land? What land?
Israel.
No. You see, this is the funny thing about that, is that what's being talked about, it's about when Moses and the Bani Israel, the tribes of Israel, was in Egypt, and they came out of Egypt, and God said, go ahead and dwell in the land. It's not saying Israel. In fact, if you was to go to 2171 of the Quran, God says that the land, Balad Sham, Israel, Palestine. Israel is not even a state any longer. It's occupied Palestine. Occupied Palestine, Jordan, all of these lands, Syria, all of these lands, God says about them that they are blessed lands for everyone. Not for this tribe, not for that tribe, for everyone. Right? And so this is the Muslim belief. This is the Quranic belief that those lands, the occupied Palestinian lands, are blessed lands for everyone, not for one tribe, not for one people, not for one group, not for one religion. They're blessed lands for everyone. So this verse that you keep trying to bring up, it doesn't say Israel. It doesn't say Balad Sham.
It
It's
says we
literally
said to
speaking
the
about
Israelites.
it's
Israelite.
Bani Israel. Bani Israel. It goes back to the people, not the land.
Okay, so there was founded the kingdom of Israel.
That
That
argument doesn't.
Moses,
What is that?
that was the
What kind
promised
of argument? You
land.
don't even know what you're saying. You don't even understand the fact that Bani Israel started a state and called it Israel, right? That doesn't equate to this land as their land. It doesn't equate to that. In
Okay,
fact, if
but you know,
you
I
think
think
that
you know.
you
I
think
think
that
you know
God's
that the
you
Torah
think that
defines the
God's
borders
calling
of
them
Israel.
you
Do you
think
know
that
that?
God's you think that God's calling them Bani Israel is talking about the state of Israel? Do you believe that? Is that what you think?
Well, what could it mean? It's like Israelites, is the people who live in Israel.
No, Claire. The Israelites were the people. The Israelites were the people, not the land. The land wasn't
Okay, but
called
they had to live
Israel until
somewhere.
they got there. The land wasn't called Israel until Bani Israel got there. You put the cart before the horse. You don't even know. You don't know this basic knowledge, and you want to interpret the Koran. It's foolish of you.
So why would God be talking about the Israelites? Hmm?
Are you Claire? I I really think that you need to get
It's
educated
not
on
clear to the
basic things.
people in the chat. It's not clear to me. I don't know what you're on about. You're clearly very agitated.
I'm
I try.
agitated because you are pro genocide, and it's sickening. It's sickening.
I'm very calm and listening to your false
I'm not.
accusations of me,
There's
and
no
you
false
are
accusation.
equating
Tell
me
me
with
what
being
accusation has been false.
pro-genocide just because I'm a Zionist.
Yeah, so you admit you're a Zionist. You said just
Yes,
because I'm a Zionist.
how can I not be a Zionist when I say I have to follow the Quran, and I'm saying that my understanding of the verse
Your
is that
understanding is
God
based on
is a
nothing.
Zionist
And I'm showing
because of that
so
verse,
hold on, wait. You
which
said
I'm
God
asking
is a
you to
Zionist.
explain, and you're just not able to explain it to me.
Here, I'll explain it to you very simply, Claire. Give me a second. Let me chew this up. I'm going to explain this to you very simply. What you just said. How can I not be a Zionist? This is what you said. Paraphrasing. How can I not be a Zionist when I claim to follow the Quran and I believe that God is a Zionist? Right? So that's what you're
Yes,
saying. Okay, now
yes.
let's stop there. Let's stop there. So, first and foremost, you just admitted that you believe in God, but yet you'll
No,
claim that you're agnostic.
no. I'm saying if I'm a secular Quranist and I go by the Quran, I have to go by the book, and the book says Jews have the children of Israel
All
have
right.
the right to
You
live
know,
in Israel.
Claire,
So I can't just go against that because I don't like Jews or whatever. You
Claire,
have to explain chapter 17, verse 104,
no problem.
and
Let's
not
do
be
this. Let's do
referring to
this.
my state of belief because my state of belief is irrelevant. It's what this verse means. And no Muslim so far has been able to explain to my
No,
satisfaction
the
what it
fact
really
is that
means.
you reject every explanation. So let me explain it to you, right? Let me explain it to you. Moses took Bani Israel out of Egypt, and God drowned Pharaoh. And God said to the Jews, dwell in the land until the next promise, al-akhirah, al-wa'adul akhirah, the next promise comes to pass, right? And the fact of the matter is that this land is not Bani Israel. I mean, it's not the land of Israel because the Bani Israel wasn't even in that land at that time, right?
But the reference is Israelites, right? Do you deny it's Israelites? So
You
before Moses even got there, God was saying
okay?
Israel will be the name of your promised land. Did he not?
Okay.
Isn't that the implication?
No, 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 it's not, Claire, and that's the problem with you. You don't understand basic things. Listen, Why are they called Bani Israel? They're called Bani Israel because Yaqub, Jacob, the son of Ishaq, Isaac, the son of Ibrahim, Abraham, the Jacob, Yaqub, was named Israel. That was his name. That was his name. And his 12 sons became 12 tribes of Israel, of Jacob. The 12 tribes, the 12 sons of Jacob became known as Israel, Israel, if you will. And the fact of the matter is, this had nothing to do with land. It had everything to do with the tribes.
Yeah,
And
but the tribes inhabited space and land and
yes,
territory.
that's right. Now, thank you. So after they left Egypt, after they were freed from Egypt by Moses, peace be upon him, they traveled through the earth for how long? For 40 years. And in that time, God said, uskun fil ard, yani, dwell in the land. Dwell in the land. He didn't say rule the land. He didn't say own the land. He didn't say control the land. He didn't say this is your land. He didn't say you are the chosen people and this is your land. He didn't say any of that. What he said is uskun. It just means live, dwell in the land.
What about
Right?
the Canaanites?
Now stop for a sec. Hold on. So Bani Israel, these 12 tribes, they dwelled in the land, right? That's what happened, is that they dwelled in the land. And later, once they occupied this land, and the prophet David came and established the first kingdom of Israel, right? That land became known as Israel, right? Only then, centuries, generations after Moses, did it become known, after the people who inhabited that land, and become known as Israel. So the land, the people are not named after the land is named after the people, Claire. And so I hope that I've explained that clear enough for you.
Well, it's still a little confusing, but the point is that,
I'm not surprised.
we can talk about whether the Israel was named after the land or the Jacob or whatever. The point is that the Torah, whom the Jews follow, define the borders of Israel.
You know, the Torah also says that the Jews are God's chosen people and everyone else is created to serve them. So do you accept that as well? Are you created to serve the Jews? Do you accept that?
I think we were created to serve each other.
No. So the Jews weren't there. You have even said that the Jews are God's chosen people and their job is to control, to organize, to govern the rest of the people. So I'm asking you, do you believe that
I
the
didn't
Jews...
say that. I didn't say that. I'm not one of those people who say, oh, Jews are the managerial class. I'm saying Jews were chosen to serve Gentiles.
Gentiles, the Torah, the Talmud, the Jewish beliefs is that all of mankind was created to serve the Jews. The Jews are God's chosen people and everybody else is beneath them. So they spit on people in the street.
I don't accept that. Obviously, they'll have to big themselves up.
But you do accept everything else. You don't accept that part of the Bible, but you accept the other parts of the Bible. No, you pick and choose what parts you want to accept.
I can see that, if to encourage Jews to remain Jews, God has to big them up and say, oh, you're really important to me.
So you believe in God again?
No, I'm going by the narrative that's in the Bible.
But the narrative also said that they're God's chosen people and everybody else is there to serve them, right? So either you believe the narrative and you say God said this and this, or you don't believe the narrative. You're picking and choosing and you're trying to speak on authority of God, but at the same time say you don't believe in God. You can't have it both ways.
I can deduce what is intended by these labels. So I've seen parents sort of, making a child feel important in order that it take up responsibilities that it otherwise wouldn't. So you might say to your eldest child, now, you're very important. You have to look after your younger brother and your younger sisters, and it's very important.
That's how you look to the Jews, as being your older sibling that looks after you. That's how you view them. that God
That
gave
is
them,
how
and
they are intended to understand their
intended by
role,
who?
because they have the most restrictive religion.
Intended
And
by who?
what?
You said that's how they're intended to be, or
Yeah,
how? Who
according to
intended it?
scripture, I mean,
Who intended it, Claire?
well, according to scripture, it was God saying,
Scripture. So you believe in scripture now?
no, I have to. This is a
You
point of
can't
discussion. It doesn't
pick
matter
and
what I believe,
choose, Claire. You
but from
can't straddle the
scripture,
fence all day.
if you read scripture, you will be able to read between the lines, and God is saying, hey Jews, you're very important to me. I'll always take you back, no matter how
That's funny
naughty you
because in the
are.
Quran it
But
says غَيْرِ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ, not those who have earned God's wrath. And when we read between the lines, this is the Jews. In fact, it's not just reading between the lines. The Prophet ﷺ was asked directly about this. They said, was this the Jews? And he said, who else?
which verse is this?
You don't even know that? You've been
I
studying
don't know.
and calling
I
to the
don't know.
Quran for
I
10
don't
years
even know
and
the
you don't know
context.
that?
What is the context?
This is insane, Claire. The
Well, I don't
context
know
is
why you
very
pretend to assume that I instantly know everything, and when
no,
you've been
no, no,
so
no, because
helpful.
you claim to call to the Quran for 10 years and you don't know what every single, not that you're a Muslim,
I'm
but
not
what
a
every
Hafiz.
but
I'm not
every
Hafiz.
single Muslim has to know by obligation,
What?
right?
Tell us what it is.
No
I'm
problem.
not
Surah
Muslim.
Al-Fatiha. Surah Al-Fatiha.
Oh, it's that one, the first one. You have to believe.
Yeah, it's the
Blah
first
blah.
one. And
Okay.
it what? What you say? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah. I
You
mean that
claim
one.
to call
Yes,
to
you
the
have
Quran. You
even
claim to call
everything.
to the Quran, and then you refer to one of the greatest chapter in the Quran. You say blah blah blah, right? That shows the level of disrespect you have for the book that you're telling other people to follow. And how is it that when it goes against you, right? When it goes against you and your Zionist beliefs, you say blah blah blah, but then you're trying to use the same book to support your Zionist ideals.
No, I'm just saying. I'm saying God is Zionist, and you've got some
And I just
convoluted
proved to you he's not.
explanation of
I just proved to
what the
you he's
verse
not.
might mean, and then you said something else, and I asked
I
you
just proved
what
to
it
you
was,
that
and then
he's
you
not.
refused to tell me, which is a bit childish.
I told you. And this is the thing. Not only did I tell you, but I also showed you now that your claim that God is a Zionist, even though you claim you don't believe in God, you
Okay, okay.
claim
So
that
what
you
has
know him. You
Al-Fatiha got to do with
you
Jews?
claim you
Let's have
claim
a read. I'll read it now. Okay. In the name of God, the compassionate.
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Go
Well, what's
on.
this got to do with Jews?
غير المغضوب عليهم. Who are they? Right? Who is being mentioned in this verse? The
Okay.
last verse, I'll make it easy for you. 1:7. Who's being talked about in this verse?
Guide us to the straight path, the path of those whom you have favored, not of those who have incurred your wrath, nor of those who have gone astray. You're saying it's the Jews. You think that's the Jews? I think it's Jews and Gentiles who, that strayed or
You're
not
wrong,
strayed.
Claire, because we have the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who this book was revealed to, being asked about this ayah and him telling us directly who's being spoken about. So you can think what you want, but we actually have records of it being explained by the audience, the first audience that it came to. So you can interpret all day long, but you're wrong here. And you're wrong based on ignorance, not based on, well, I think. No, I don't care what you think. We have evidence of what this means. See, so this is the problem with you. You want to interpret it, but we actually have record.
So you're saying the Hadith said Al-Fatiha actually refers to Jews. Well,
Again,
I don't see why. I mean, obviously you want to say, oh, God has cursed you.
I
Right?
didn't say anything.
But
You don't
in
even know
particular
what cursed
too,
means,
I'm
Claire.
going to
You don't.
say,
I've proven this too. You don't even know what the word cursed means. What is the word cursed in the Quran? If I want to look it up in the Quran, what word do I look for in the Quran to find that word cursed?
I think it might be in the hypocrites,
No.
referring to
I'm
hypocrites.
saying, what is the word that I will look up? What
Oh,
is the
it's
word?
going to be Arabic again.
Of course, it's going to be Arabic because the Quran is Arabic.
Okay,
And so the word is la'ana.
obviously I'm going
The
to say,
word,
look up the word curse, and then you're
the
going to
word
say,
is
oh, what
la'ana.
is
What
it in
does
Arabic?
la'ana
I
mean?
wouldn't know.
What does curse mean? What does it mean in the Quran? What does it mean when it is used in the Quran?
Well, you tell me.
Right. And that's the problem, Claire, is because you don't know. Right. And
Well,
that's the
you're
problem
saying
is you
some
argue from a
specialized
position of
meaning,
ignorance
so
all the
just
time.
tell us what it is.
What?
You're saying it's some specialized meaning that people
It's a
who
very
understand the
specific
word
meaning.
curse, it's different. You're saying
I
it's different.
I have a very specific meaning based on the Quran. What does it mean? What is it that it is being said when somebody says la'ana? What does it mean when somebody says cursed in Islam? It's very specific. It means that God has removed his mercy from them.
Mhm.
God has removed his blessings from them. That's what it means.
Okay, I'm not disputing
But that's
it.
not what that verse said, is it? The verse said غير المغضوب مغضوب غضب, right? It said maghdubi, and that doesn't mean curse. La'na means curse. So maghdubi is something else, right?
Okay, well,
And
but
so
which
this
verse
is
is this Madubi word in?
what?
You said Madubi. I mean, which verse is this?
It's the last verse of the first chapter, Claire, the one that you've already read in English. And this is the problem is you claim to call to the Quran and you don't know what you're
Okay,
talking about.
I
And
really
then
don't
you
know what
want
you're
us
on
to
about.
accept, your interpretation, but
I
you
wish
continue to
you
show
were
that your
the people in
interpretation
the
is based
chat.
on
I
ignorance.
don't think they know what you're on about.
Yeah, I know you don't. And so this is the problem, Claire, is that you're not listening. One.
You're not explaining very well. So
Mm.
well, let's concentrate on the word curse. You're saying the
No,
curse means
let's not
right?
concentrate on that. Let's not concentrate on that. Let's concentrate on you saying that God is a Zionist, because that's really what this is about.
Yes, fine.
So you
I'm
claim
saying, that verse that I just read out to you, dwell in the land until the end times.
that's
And
not what
in a
it says. It
colonial,
doesn't say end times at all. Show me where it says end times. It doesn't say end times. And even if it did, it says uskunu. It says dwell. It doesn't say control. You own this land. This land is yours, and anybody else who is here can be destroyed, and you could commit genocide
it was
upon them.
full of Canaanites. Come on, you
What?
must know your biblical history.
Say it
But,
again.
but it was Canaan before it became Israel, right? Do you know that?
Why did it become Israel?
When the Jews conquered Canaan
There you
and
go. There you go.
became
So
Israel, yes?
they weren't known. Why are they called Jews, Claire? Why are they called Jews?
I don't know.
It's sad. It's sad. That's sad. What is Jew? How do you say Jew in Hebrew? What do they call themselves?
Yahud.
Why?
I don't know.
Yeah. And this is the problem, Claire, is you don't
Well,
know
what's the
basic
problem?
knowledge.
What's the problem? Why is it, the etymology is not important to me?
They're called Yahudi, right? So the land of Judea where they dwelled became Yehuda, right? Judea. They're called Jews because of that. The land is named after them. They're not named after the land. Israel is named after them. They're not named after the land. Judea is named after them. They're not named after the land, right? They don't have a right to the land, right? To control and own and commit genocide in the land. They don't have that right.
They did the Canaanites and the Amalek.
The Jews, the Greeks overtook them. The Romans kicked them all out by 91, 92, right? So does that mean that they have no right because they were kicked out of that land?
Yes,
So you want to
possession
go
is
back to
9
ancient history.
points
You
of
want to
the
go back to
law. Have
ancient
you
history.
heard
We
that
could do that too.
expression? Have you heard the expression, possession is 9 points of the law?
So now you want to do that. See, and this is the thing is that
Do what?
you want to go back in time, and then when I counter you back in time, you want to bring it back and say, well, look at this and look at that. Pick a time period. If you want to talk about modernity, let's talk about modernity. If you want to talk about biblical times, let's talk about biblical times. But don't jump back and
I'm
forth.
not jumping. I'm just saying, as far as people are concerned, Israel means Jews. It's all kind of one category, and they use
Because they control the narrative.
interchange.
Because
And
1948, the entire land was called Palestine. And if you don't believe me, go look at the
I
1947
do.
issue of
It's,
National Geographic.
it's called British Palestine,
It was
right?
called Palestine.
Okay, so and it was the Romans who called Judea Palestine after they kicked them out.
So now you're going back in time again.
Well, if people want to know the history of what Israel has been called, but the fact is, it's still that piece
Claire,
of
let's
territory
go back to this
that's in dispute.
I don't have time to keep going on these side stupid tangents of yours. You want to talk about this verse? Tell me, what does the word, you don't know, but what does the word uskunu mean? I've already said
Well, how would I know? This is Arabic.
Because it's in the Quran and you keep quoting this. It means dwell in the land. Is there any indication in that, any, that they own the land, or that they have control over the land, or authority over the land, or that they could commit genocide in the land? Is there any indication whatsoever that they could commit genocide in the land?
No, it says dwell in the land, presumably as lawfully, people in lawful possession of it, or as a kingdom or whatever.
Lawful possession. Does lawful possession include going in and kicking out the people who have lived there and committing genocide?
Yes,
does it include that?
They did to the Canaanites.
I'm not asking about ancient history. I'm asking about today, Claire. Did the Germans have the right to do what they did to the Jews?
Of course
did they have the right?
Not.
Huh?
Of course not.
Then how? If you say, of course they didn't have the right to do it, how do you say the Jews have the right to do the same exact thing?
I never said that. No, you're just putting words in my mouth. I never said
saying it, Claire. If
you're
pro-Zionist,
I never said that. I'm just saying, according to that verse, God is Zionist, and
So you believe in God, and you speak on behalf of God, and you tell
I'm a secular Quranist, and I base my
and I've
my
shown you that you're wrong from the Quran. I've proven that you're wrong from the Quran, but you refuse to listen. I've proven that you're wrong from the Quran, and you refuse to listen because you're not here to learn. You're not here to open your horizons. You're not here to hear the truth from the Quran. You're going to say, I believe I'm a Zionist, therefore I believe God is a Zionist as well. That's what you're telling people. And you're going to
so you obviously have a different interpretation, and I would like you to explain it in a way that the chat understands.
Here. Let's explain it in a clear way that the chat can understand, even though I have no clue who the chat is. I'll explain it in a clear
just
way.
assume that they're very low IQ.
God said, and we delivered him, meaning Abraham, and Lot to the land we filled with blessing unto all generations and peoples of mankind. What land was it that was given to Abraham and Lot and was filled with blessings and open for all mankind? All mankind. What land was that?
Israel, I guess.
Okay, that land that is currently now called occupied Palestine, right? So if it was open for all mankind and all generations since the time of Abraham until today.
What's that verse you just quoted?
2171.
2171. To Lot we gave wisdom and knowledge and delivered him from the city that had committed deeds of abomination. That must have been Sodom and Gomorrah. Surely they were men of iniquity and evil. We admitted him to our mercy. He was a righteous man. Before him, Noah invoked us, and we answered his prayer. We saved him and all his kinsfolk from the great calamity and delivered him from those who had denied our revelations. Evil were they, we drowned them all.
I'm sorry, 2171.
2170. Okay. I mean, there seems to be a story going on.
Of course,
Okay,
now there's a story going on because there wasn't
Abraham
a story
talks
the
to the
last time.
idolaters.
There
So
wasn't a
when you say
story.
2171, if I read
There,
it, from
there wasn't a story the
2171,
last time, but
it
now
would
all
make
of a sudden
sense to
there's
the
a story.
readers. That's what I'm saying. So there's a conversation going on, and
So before there wasn't a
so I
story,
think I should
God
read
was a
it.
Zionist, and now there's a big story. Come on, Fadl.
Okay, so
Come on.
I think I should read from 2147.
Go ahead. What?
Okay,
21 what?
47.
Come on, Claire. I don't have time for that. I don't
Well,
I don't
I
have
mean,
time for
there's
that.
a dialogue going on between Abraham and God, and you wanted me to dismiss it out?
Yes, I do actually. Because let's just jump to the conclusion, okay? Jump to the conclusion. We all know the story between Abraham and Lot and God. We know the story. Even those of us who was raised as Christian, even the Jews, even the people who were just raised in Western cultures, everybody knows the story. Let's jump to the conclusion and let's look at 2171 because it's going to end the same whether you read all of these verses or not. But I told you I don't have time for this. I'm actually I have to go train. I don't have time to be on here all day. Read
Okay, so
2171.
it begins. We gave him Isaac, and then Jacob for a grandson.
No, that's 2172. That's 2172.
Okay, they sought to lay a snare for him, but it was they whom we ruined.
That's fine. That's 2170. Now keep going.
We delivered him and Lot, and brought them to the land which we had blessed for all mankind.
There you go. Boom. That's it. That's it. Right? And that's not even a good translation, but I'll accept it. But I do like how you tried to read the 72, and then I called you on it. You said 69, and I mean 70, and so I had to point out, no, stop doing that. You're trying to avoid this.
It's only because I have not all verses are mentioned yet. It goes from 2165 to 2174 in numbers, so I have to work out, in between which
That's fine.
verses.
Again, let's be very clear. In this verse, God says that He blessed that land and opened it for all mankind.
Because it's a land of Israel, right?
Excuse me?
It's a land of Israel.
It's not the land of Israel.
Oh,
it is the land. It is the blessed of. It's the blessed land. It's the blessed. It is. It's called occupied Palestine.
Well, it doesn't say that here in 2171.
It also doesn't say Israel, does it?
No, but it's assumed.
What?
It's assumed that it means Israel.
It's not assumed. See, this is the thing: is you make assumptions. There was no Israel. There was no Israel. There was no Israel in the time of Abraham, in the time of Isaac, in the time of Jacob. There was no Israel. There was no land of Israel.
Yeah, but when
when
the Old Testament was written, presumably Israel had already been founded as a kingdom. Yes.
When the Old Testament was quote unquote written, first and foremost, that statement itself is based in ignorance, since we both know, or we should anyway, that the Old Testament is not one book, and it wasn't written at one time, but rather it's made up of three different things. It's made up of the Torah, and it's made up of the history, and it's made up of the books of the prophets, and all of them were written at different periods of time. Now, so that's the first thing. The second thing is that when it was compiled, of course, because it was compiled actually after the fall of Israel by the Romans. right? It was written, it was compiled after, but after, in fact, it was written after the Bible, the New Testament, was compiled by the Christians. Then the Jews compiled their own in writing, but they didn't compile it in writing. They didn't have it in a single book, the Old Testament, until after Christianity had kicked off. So this whole idea, oh, well, when the Old Testament was written, clearly there was a state of Israel. Yes, there was, but why? Because the Old Testament was written far after Israel.
We should say the Torah first, the first 5 books, yes.
The Torah wasn't revealed until whose time? Who was it given to?
I'm a bit vague about that.
That's sad. It was given to Moses. It was given to Moses. And where was it revealed to Moses?
Mount Sinai.
No, exactly, right? Before he freed the people from Egypt. Before he freed the people from Egypt. So therefore, also before there was...
They were already out of it, surely. They were out of Egypt.
No, they weren't.
Really?
Oh, wait. No, I'm sorry. Forgive me. You're right. I was thinking about when God talked to Moses through the burning bush. I apologize, right? That is a mistake on my part, all right? So it was revealed before they got any land. While Moses was still with them, the Torah was revealed. Long after the time of Abraham, long after the time of Lot, long after the time of Isaac, long after the time of Jacob. So long after this verse is speaking about, the Torah was revealed to Moses, and not in the land of Israel anyway.
Mount Sinai is in Israel, isn't it?
Mount Sinai was there was no Israel at the time. Was there? There was no Israel at the time. Moses and the Bani Israel, what did they do? They roamed in the desert for 40 years before God gave them the quote unquote promised land, according to the Old Testament.
So Mount Sinai wasn't part of Israel?
Not at that time, now was it?
Okay. So
there was no Israel at that time.
Okay. But anyway, we're talking about
what we're talking about is verse 21:71, where God said that he gave this land, he blessed this land for all mankind.
But not the idolaters of Canaan.
For all mankind.
Exterminated. Yes, they were exterminated because they were idolaters.
Okay, so is this land for Jews, or is it for all mankind?
It's for Jews and Gentiles. That was what I was trying to say to you.
So if it's not for them, then what right do they have to oppress and kill Semites?
I didn't say they had any right. I don't know why you just keep assuming all these things.
Because this is the foundation of your Zionist beliefs. Claire, you can't say that you're a Zionist. Claire, you cannot say that you're a Zionist and deny that they have a right to commit.
Let me state my position properly. I'm saying, obviously these Israelis want to live in Israel without being bothered by terrorism.
That's a lie.
I mean
that's a lie.
Okay, you're saying that the Israelis want to be attacked by terrorists.
I'm saying that the Israelis are the terrorists.
Okay, but can we just assume that you can any Israeli would feel attacked?
Can we agree that any Palestinian would feel attacked when their family is being bombed every single day?
Sure,
Claire?
sure.
Can we assume that the Palestinian occupation is unjust? Can we assume that?
Well, I think
no,
it's okay
to occupy people. It's okay to put them in a ghetto. It's okay to kill women and children.
Obviously there is a territorial dispute.
It's not a territorial dispute. It's a genocide, Claire.
Okay, if you want to be, it's a territorial dispute.
It's not a territorial dispute, Claire. Was the ghettos of Warsaw a territorial dispute? Was the ghettos of Warsaw a territorial dispute? Was the ghettos of Warsaw a territorial dispute?
Well, I think it was the Nazis putting Jews there or
And
something.
now you have the Jews, the Zionists, putting Palestinians in the ghetto. So if you can't see that one is wrong, that means the other one is wrong, then you're just blind because you're willfully blind because you choose to be a Zionist.
No, no, I'm saying God is a Zionist.
And you can't prove it. You can't substantiate it. You can't even tell me you prove that God even exists.
Look, all I'm saying is that
Yeah,
verse that
all I'm saying is
we've
you
read.
speak on a you speak about God as though you believe. You speak about God as though you're an authority. You speak about God based upon he's a Zionist, but yet you also claim, oh, I don't believe in God. So you're a Zionist because you believe God is a Zionist, but you don't even believe in God.
No, I'm just saying I have to go by the book.
You don't.
I have to go
Okay,
by the
so
book.
when I pull up the book and it says that the Jews can kill everyone, right? When they consult the land, then you accept that too because it's in the book. No, you don't, because you only believe what you want to believe because you want to be pro-Zionist.
No, I'm saying obviously there is a land. I mean, the Jews
All
talk
right,
about
Claire.
the God of
Bye,
Israel.
bye, Claire. Because your arguments don't hold up, Claire. You backpedal so damn much, it's ridiculous. You're trying to play both sides. You're trying to straddle the fence, and it doesn't work like that. Either you
No,
believe in
I'm
God
very
or
clear
you don't.
about God being a Zionist,
What?
and I yes,
You,
I'm very clear.
but
I
you
did
can't.
say
I
very clear.
already proved to you that that's not the case. I've shown that that's not the case,
You
and yet you
have
keep repeating
stated
the
your
lie.
case, which I don't accept.
You don't accept it because you don't want to. I've given you the proof from the Koran. I've given you the
No,
proof from
because
the
I
book.
actually, before you go, I would like to be able to state my position, which I haven't been able
Go
to
ahead.
because you're so
State,
excited.
state your.
Okay,
I'll
so
be
so
quiet.
so the presumption is that God is a Zionist. He says that Jews can live in Israel, but they have to follow his rules and they have to live under his laws, and they are not currently living under his laws, either in the Torah or the Koran. And I am saying that that is the problem because Israel is a liberal democracy, and that is the problem. And
Okay.
that's my position. Okay.
Okay. So if that's your position, let me ask you a question. All right. Right now, the Zionists, they're preparing to destroy Masjid al-Aqsa. They're setting up the rituals, right? They have rabbinic permission, and the state is helping to destroy Masjid al-Aqsa and build the third temple. So that because they believe once they build the third temple, then it is their right to rule over not just the land, the world, right? And their Messiah will come and lead them against all the Gentiles. Now, here's the thing about that, Claire. Once they build the third temple, they believe that they'll live under the laws. They can't live under the laws right now because they don't have the third temple. Once they have the third temple, they'll be able to live under the laws. And so what they're doing is that they're
Want
trying.
theocracy,
Hold
that
on,
is the
stop for a
problem.
second. Stop. I let you go. Let me go. So they're now setting up the stage to build the third temple so that they can live under what they perceive as being God's law. So you're saying because you see the problem that they don't live under God's law, and they say, yes, we agree that's a problem. That's why we're committing genocide and taking this land and we're doing these rituals, right? So you're saying it's good that they do this so that they can live under God's law?
No, I'm saying that amongst Israelis in Israel, there is a problem between secular Jews and religious Jews. I don't
Yeah,
know.
religious Jews are pro-Palestinian. Isn't that interesting?
Well, some of them are. I mean, like the
Most of them
Neturei
are.
Carter, but the others are
Most of them
not.
are. Because they understand that without the third temple, they have no sanctity in that land. They have no authority in that land. They are dwellers in that land, just like everyone else, equal dwellers in that land.
Yes, and currently Israel is a Jew is a secular state, and the demonstrations against the reforms for the reform of the Israeli Supreme Court is a problem of conservative religious Jews against the liberal Jews in the Israeli Supreme Court, telling them what to do and having the right to veto any bill in the Knesset.
You
So
know,
amongst Jews, there is a conflict, a culture war.
the fact of the matter is the only religious conflict going on in that land is from the Jews, right? The Palestinians, it's not a religious conflict. It's never been a religious conflict. It's always been a matter of they are being oppressed, occupied, and a genocide is currently being done against them. And if you're a Zionist, right, you are pro-Holocaust, you are pro-genocide. If you're not a Zionist, if you're then you're forced to be pro-Palestinian. So you have a choice. Either you're a Zionist and you're pro-genocide, or you're not.
I've
That's the
explained the
choice that people have
position to
today.
you. I'm saying Jews only have the right to have peaceful enjoyment of Israel only if they live under either Sharia or a Torah theocracy.
Yeah,
And
but
it
yet you're
seems
still
that they're not prepared to do that. And
let
that
me
is
ask
the
you a
problem.
question, Claire. Let me ask you a simple question. Do the Palestinians have a right to defend themselves in armed conflict against the Jewish people? Against the Zionists? Let me be very clear, the Zionists.
Yes, I mean, obviously, what will they do? Commit attacks. They attack each other.
I didn't ask that. I said, do they have the right to defend
But he will
themselves?
do whatever they think is
Do they
necessary.
have a right to defend themselves? This is a straight yes or no question. Do the
Yes,
Palestinians have a
everyone
right to
has the
defend
right to
themselves?
self-defense. Everyone has the right to self-defense.
Okay. So what the Palestinians are doing is right, right? What Hamas has
Would you
done is
call the
right.
Hamas incursion an act of self-defense?
What?
Would you call the Hamas incursion an act of self-defense?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, an incursion is an invasion.
Do you call the Israeli bombings of apartment buildings where families are sleeping, do you call that self-defense? Is that self-defense?
I suppose you can call that retaliation.
I could call that terrorism. How
Okay.
about the bombings of medics? How about the bombings of ambulances? After they told the Red Crescent to come in, they targeted them, right? What's that called? That's not called terrorism. What's that called? That's called a war crime, Claire.
I'm not going to go into the details of,
Yeah,
the
I'm not
tit for tat
surprised. Have a good day, Claire. I've shown to you in the Quran that your claim that the Quran is Zionist in any way, shape, or form is false. I've shown you that from 3 different verses, right? I've shown that your claim that you believe in God and you don't believe in God, well, it doesn't work. And if you're a Zionist, you must believe in God if you're a Zionist, and in that case, you're pro-genocide. Or you cannot be a Zionist if you don't believe in God. And if you don't believe in God, you can't be a Zionist, then you cannot defend the genocide that's taking place today. It's that simple.
Well, I think Zionism, the desire to return, to have a homeland, is created the moment you expel them. So the moment I expel you from your home, I will create a desire
Do
for
the
you to return
Palestinians have
to.
a right to return? Do the Palestinians have a right to return?
Well, they should, because the whole idea is that Jews and Gentiles are supposed to
They
live
should.
together in a
So let me
community
ask you a question, Claire.
according to that verse.
What would happen if I got online, right? What would happen if I got online and called the Muslims to get on planes and go over and resist the Zionist occupation? What would happen if I did that?
Well, I think you might get into trouble with your
And
authority.
why is it that I would get in trouble for that, but we see people such as Ben Shapiro doing it, telling the Jews to go do it, and we see planes from all over the world flying full of Jews to go and fight against the Palestinians who are already occupied and oppressed? How come they can do this? And if anyone does it on behalf of the Palestinians, they're seen as terrorists and war criminals. Why is it good for one side and not the other, Claire?
Because America supports Israel. That's why. And
Is
you're in
it
America.
just? Is it just?
Well, there are lots of things that America does.
I just asked if
very
it's just.
unjust.
I didn't ask about lots of things. I said, is it just?
No, obviously not, because
Okay.
America is considered to be great Satan and Israel little Satan.
Yeah, and I wrote a paper about this, and there's a reality to that, right? There's a reality to that. But I would argue that, and it doesn't matter what I would argue, but there's realities to that. And so the fact is that what threat does Iran pose to the United States? What threat does Iran posed to the United States? Since you brought up the big and little Satan, what threat does Iran pose to the United States?
Well, America doesn't like anyone who
I
isn't
didn't
a
ask
liberal
that.
democracy.
What
And
threat?
Iran is not a liberal democracy. It's a
What
theocracy.
threat?
That's why, America has it in for China and for
What
Iran. And
danger? What
hmm,
danger does Iran pose to the United States?
because it clearly hates Israel and rattles its
What
saber.
danger does it pose to the United States?
I believe the Americans think that Iran is going to go nuclear.
But this is the thing. Now, that's a funny thing, right? Because Israel is a rogue nuclear state because they never signed the agreement for nuclear proliferation, while Iran is actually a signatory to it. And so Iran, according to international law, actually has a right to nuclear energy and nuclear weapons, while Israel doesn't. And so Israel is actually a rogue nuclear state, while Iran is justified if they were to develop them, right? So let's say, again, I don't care about hypotheticals. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. I'm asking you, what danger does Iran pose to the United States of America now?
Nothing really. It's just
Okay,
America
so
being
why are we
paranoid.
involved? Why are we involved?
It's American imperialism.
No, it's because of Israel, Claire. It's because of Israel. And this has been the problem since 1948. Our problems in the region are all around Israel, who does nothing to benefit America except drag us into wars, control our media, control our government, control our economy, control our transportation. What are we getting back for this? What do we benefit from it other than our men and women being killed in foreign battlefields that we don't even need to fight? What are we getting out of
It's
it?
your military-industrial complex
What are we
directing
getting
your
out of it?
country towards, unwise foreign adventures.
Right. So what you're saying is that we get nothing out of it. Tell me who runs the military-industrial complex? Who owns most of those companies, Claire?
You're going to say Jews.
Now I'm not going to say anything. Who are you saying?
I guess your problem is it's those Jews.
I'm asking. So it is Jews. You're saying it's Jews.
Well, I know from the discourse about Jews is that it's all
I,
those Jews, they run
I asked
everything.
you who owns most of the companies that benefit from the military or run the military industrial complex. Who owns and operates these companies? Tell me that, Claire.
I think that there are quite a few Gentiles, but anti-Semites would just concentrate on
And
Jews. Forget about all the other
Semites
Gentiles.
Zionists? Are they Zionists
Well, I'm
or
saying
not?
God is a Zionist, and I'm just saying he would be okay with Jews
You
living in Israel
speaking.
if it was
You're
run
saying that he
properly,
would be okay. He
obeying
would
his
be
laws.
okay. So you speak for God now. You continue to speak for
I
God,
okay, this
though
is just
you say you don't
my
even
opinion.
believe in him.
I'm just saying, that's the whole idea. It's like of all the places in the world, Israel should be a theocracy, and it's not. It's a liberal democracy supported by
So if they're a
America.
theocracy, then the
That is
genocide
the
becomes
problem.
okay. You can't have it both
And I'm
ways.
saying secular Quranism is the middle way between liberal democracy and the
Secular
ultra-Orthodox.
Quranism doesn't exist, Claire. It's barely an idea. It's barely an idea. And I'm not going to talk to you about that when you don't have access to the Quran. You don't even know the first chapter of the Quran. And in English, you didn't even know it. And you're going to tell everybody, oh, you have to follow this book that I've been calling to for 10 years, but I don't even know the first chapter of it. Right? So your idea is a joke.
It's nothing to do with law, and you can't turn it into law. That's why I ignore it.
Yeah, you ignore everything, Claire. Everything that doesn't agree with you. And that's your problem. And good day.
Goodbye. Thank you for coming. All right. I should finish by saying that, well, I hope people understand what William was saying about chapter 1704. I don't quite accept it, but I hope it was clear enough for you. And my position is simply that God, if he exists, would be okay with Jews living in Israel, with Gentiles. But obviously, he's not happy with Israel being a secular state and not a theocracy. And if Israel were to become a theocracy, obviously it can't be a Torah theocracy with 36 capital offences, because it would be a bit hard on Jews, and they clearly don't want to live in a Torah theocracy. So a lighter theocracy would be Sharia, and an even lighter theocracy would be secular Quranism, because basically Islam is Judaism light, and secular Quranism is Islam light. Thank you for your attention.